Welcome to Mission Possible, delivering cleaner fuel today, brought to you by CEMA, Connecticut Energy Marketers Association, representing 600 family-run home heating fuel companies in Connecticut and the greater New England region. Today's episode was recorded live from the Southern New England Energy Conference in Newport, Rhode Island, and highlights how our members are delivering a cleaner, greener fuel today. Our guest for today, for this latest edition, is Carin Oppelt. Did I say that right, Carin? You're with Town Oil Company in Wethersfield.
Yep, that's correct.
So, well, thank you for joining us here on the podcast and taking time out from this busy day to sit down and chat with us. So,
Absolutely.
I love hearing the personal stories. I love hearing how the businesses have evolved. So why don't you take me through that? Tell me a little bit about your business and its history.
So we were started by my grandfather, started the business in 1963 in Wethersfield, Connecticut. It was local to where he lived at the time. Now I drive in pretty far. And my daughter was asking about this morning. I'm sorry, tangent.
No, you have plenty of time. This is a podcast. We like tangents.
But so we're the third generation now. I'm the third generation in the family that owns the business. My grandfather started it. My dad and his brother took over, and 3 years ago, my dad retired. So myself and a business partner took over. So I am the president of Town Oil Company now.
Yeah, so I love it. You're, I think, the fifth woman on the podcast. Talk about changing the face of the home heating fuel industry. We're doing it right here. There are so many women taking over the reins, from fathers, uncles, you name it, that are now running the company. Is this the trajectory you saw yourself in?
I don't think that I grew up dreaming about owning an oil company, but along the way, it definitely became a dream job for me. I love absolutely everything about the industry, about my career, about serving our customers. It's just it's really been amazing. And I was really excited to see how many women were in the lineup today for the same reason. Just a lot of, daughters and other women taking over family businesses. It's been cool to see. I think that we're going to get a lot of diverse opinions, and I think it's good.
I agree. I think it is good. And I think it's always good to have different people at the table making decisions. And I think that's what we're seeing here today. And let's talk a little bit. So we talked about your company, how much it's changed. But not only has the company changed since the 60s, the product you're selling has changed. So even saying oil, I don't even know if that really fits the model anymore, right? It's fuel. So take me through that. It's a greener, cleaner fuel that you're delivering to your customers. Let me note too, 50% of the people in Connecticut use home heating fuel. Mm-hmm. So if you are one of those 50%, this is what's in your tank. And a lot of people don't quite understand that. So take us through that. How is your fuel different than the fuel of the 1960s?
It is. So we're blending with the 5% biodiesel now for the bioheat fuel. And I know there's moving up. I think as soon as next year it goes up to 10% and then increases from there, which is fantastic. I love that we've got a deliverable liquid fuel that works in people's existing systems with very, very little upgrades and changes needed. I think it's just been cool to see the process for how the fuel was developed. That's been something I've been kind of just reading up on lately. And that's part of a customer education thing that we're working on. So we've been really working on educating our customers about what bioheat is and that it is in the fuel, because a lot of people don't know that there is anything different about the heating oil that they're using today. And, with everybody being concerned about a greener, more renewable product, I think it's important to educate our consumers about.
Right. And bioheat is kind of the brand name.
Yes.
So biofuel would be the generic.
Yes.
And our biofuel is made up of biodiesel, which is a renewable fuel made from discarded cooking oil, soybean waste byproducts, stuff that would end up in the landfill. We're recycling that back into the fuel. But not only that, the other part of our fuel, we have the biodiesel. It's mixed with ultra low sulfur heating oil.
Yep.
And what people don't realize is we pretty much remove the sulfur from the content of our oil. So you have one part that's really great for the environment, the low sulfur fuel, and then you have it mixed with biodiesel. So it's like a double win, right?
Right.
And the B5 that you talk about would be 5% of that tank of oil, 5% is biodiesel. Every year it's going to go up.
Yep.
Mandated by state law, which, by the way, we supported, CEMA members.
Yeah.
And if I hadn't said this already, Connecticut Energy Marketers Association is CEMA. We are an organization that promotes and defends the industry. We represent about 600 home heating fuel companies in the state. So we lobbied for this because we knew it was great to set a standard for what our industry needed to be moving forward. And it's helpful, right? So you go from 5%, some go higher, you're going to go to 10%.
Yep.
Eventually, it'll be 50%.
Yep, 50%, and then 100% is, the long-term goal there, which is just very cool.
Right, and I think some of the issues we had to figure out with 100% is how would it do in the cold weather.
Yes.
So SEMA's been testing this
exactly.
at our facility in Cromwell.
Yep.
And we are very near. We also were testing B99, I think, out in Coventry. We had a gentleman there participating to see how that would work with solar.
Yeah.
Because the two, we can get to net zero pretty quickly.
Right.
So these are exciting times. This is not your grandpa's home heating oil.
Exactly.
And we need to tell this story. We can't say it enough over and over and over, because moving on to our next segment, not segment, question, I should say. Our industry has been under attack a lot.
Right.
And there are things that are very concerning to you and other members. Let's talk a little bit about that. What are your concerns regarding the future of the industry?
Yeah, I think the biggest concern probably for other business owners like myself is just being written out of the American Energy Plan, if you will, with the push for electrification and with natural gas. And I don't think either of those are a perfect solution. I definitely think that the biodiesel, the biofuel blend, has a place in
the economy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And each individual household, right? Because one choice is no choice. And a lot of people are not in tune to this. Maybe they had a little bit more experience with it when they opened up their electric bills this summer, just to see how government policies do impact your bottom line.
Right.
And this is something we've been saying for years. The government should not be putting its thumb on the winners and losers in the energy market. We see how this plays out. So we're here to say, listen, we need to be part of the equation.
Yep.
We need a seat at the table. And not only that, what we're doing, we're not just asking this as a favor. We're saying, listen, we can get to net zero probably faster than anybody else, because let's face it, electricity is not green. It's not clean, not at this point.
No, it's really not.
No.
It's not. I'm not convinced that we have the resources available to push for 100% electrification and be able to support that without consumers seeing disruptions in their heating and cooling. And especially in New England, when you have very cold winters, that's like an emergency situation you don't want to be in, where you're relying on electric heat and then something goes wrong. I'm personally just a big fan of the dual fuel systems and having options, because I think having options is always the best choice for the consumer.
Right. And you nailed it, right? If electricity is the only game in town, it's not a game I want to play.
Right.
And could you imagine what our electric bills would be then, even if we could keep the light and heat on?
Yep.
And you made a good point. Like, this is nothing to play around with. I'm using a lot of sports analogies right now. I'm not really sure why. But in the wintertime, when it's sub-zero, this is not a time to test it and see how it's going to work.
And no, it's not. We've seen, unfortunately, emergency situations where people have switched entirely to electric heat that then couldn't keep up in the wintertime. And then it's, a huge emergency trying to retrofit an oil heat or a different heat source back into the house because it's been removed, and that's just an emergency that doesn't have to happen.
And I don't know about your business model, but a lot of our members do also install heat pumps.
We do.
Yeah, you do too. So by no means are we saying we only do home heating field. We're just saying you got to know all the details behind it. It's not a one size fit all. Some people, interestingly enough, there were some in Hartford who actually thought a heat pump was something you just plugged in like an air conditioner.
A lot of people do.
That is not how it works. You have to retrofit your house.
Yep.
It can cost anywhere from $20,000 to $40,000. And when it gets colder, it may not work as well.
Right.
So you really need that backup system in place. And I think that's what you're saying, right? If you go, and I've heard stories too from other members where they've had clients that paid $60,000 to upgrade their house. And in the cold winter months, guess what? They were getting portable heaters trying to keep the pipes from freezing.
Right. Exactly.
That's a real possibility.
Exactly.
It's what we don't want.
No, exactly. It's not, it's not good. It's not a good position to be in for anybody. Especially now for the homeowner who is dealing with that emergency situation in the middle of the winter.
So you've actually been called in saying, can you, and you're trying to retrofit a house.
We had a house. They had taken out all of the baseboard heating and installed just the ductless mini splits. So then it was a whole project to reinstall baseboard and, put in a traditional boiler, and just a whole thing because they had ripped it out, counting on this heat pump that just wasn't designed to handle a cold New England winter, basically.
And that's what some people in Hartford, they say, oh no, the new technology does do that. And maybe we get there one day, but does it hurt to have a backup plan? Really?
Right.
So, and what I've heard from you today, it sounds like you're saying, Carin, and I've heard from others, is fuel diversity is key. Yeah. People have the right to choose what works for them. Yeah. Works for them best.
Yep.
And also understanding how the technologies work and work together. And again, you install heat pumps, you install natural gas, home heating fuel. It's not a one size fits all.
Exactly.
And it seems like some do want that. They just want electric without really looking at the big picture. Can the grid handle it? And also, electricity is powered by natural gas.
Right.
We have this data to back this up. Our product is better for the environment. The overall carbon footprint, I believe, is lower than natural gas. So natural gas is a fossil fuel. It's got a pretty name, but it's a fossil fuel.
Right.
So if you're plugging in that EV, but you've got fossil fuel powering the grid that powers your car, is that any different?
Yes, exactly.
People don't realize that. They're like, well, oh no, wait, something powers the grid?
Yes, exactly.
So if you had to, so that's your big concern then, is the push for electrification. And again, just bottom line that for me, you want a seat at the table and all fuels considered.
Absolutely. I think especially in our New England market where so many homes do have heating oil systems, it's just cost prohibitive too for a lot of consumers to just give up that system that's been working really well for them. And it just doesn't make sense. I think it makes just so much more sense to have options.
So let's wrap it up here then. You're doing a fantastic job, by the way. You care about your customers. If you're there trying to retrofit, put any natural gas or heating oil last minute to save someone's house, you care about them.
We do.
It's hard to get a call. It's hard to get service people in your house nowadays. And what I've heard over and over from the people that I've been interviewing is you're usually the first call people make when there's an emergency, and you're the first one to respond.
Yeah.
What do your customers mean to you?
I love our customers. Thank you. I absolutely love our customers. We've had a good deal of customers who have been with us since 1963, which is just amazing to see. And they really do feel like an extended part of our family at this point. It's just nice to be able to look out for people in our community, to take care of them when things go wrong, and even just to be there for them in a human way. A lot of people call us just to chat, and there's not a lot of companies who can do that.
I don't think a lot of people are calling the utilities to chat.
No, they're not. No,
They're calling to say other things, but not to chat.
Right. But we've built relationships over the years, with the customers whose houses we take care of, And, I have one customer who ends every phone call with, "I love you," because she genuinely loves us. We were there for her when her elderly mother was at home in hospice, and we would go visit and see her mother. And it was, just really special to be, involved in her life in that way, and to still be involved in her life that way. And we've just met, I think, a lot of really incredible people through the business.
So you had a customer. Her mom was in hospice,
Yes. Yep.
and you went to visit, and your people. Oh,
We do. Yeah, we did.
that's very touching.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. She was fantastic. That customer of ours, she still brings in chocolates every time there's a holiday, and she comes in and say, "Love you guys," because it just meant that much to her that we would take the time to, come up and see her mother when, not very many people were coming by to visit, but the oil company could come by and visit. So,
The stories are really endless, but that is very touching.
Yeah.
I'm a little teary-eyed.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that. Yeah, wow. So the connection that our people have in you with the community is really heartfelt. It's deep. It's often generations, decades. It's something you're not going to get in a lot of places,
Yep.
As a frustrated customer who calls many call centers, sometimes it's just, why is everything so hard?
Yep, absolutely.
This isn't hard, and thank you for sharing your beautiful stories with us. Let's end it on this note. If you had to use a few words to describe the future of your industry, how would you do that?
I think that we will just continue to be customer focused, service focused. I describe my leadership style as a servant leadership. It's really about doing what is right for our customers, for our employees, for taking care of our community. I think that is true in a lot of heating oil companies. We're just, a service-based industry where I think that you'll see that a lot. And I think that we're going to adapt, and we're going to be, keeping up with all the changes. And I think it's just going to be a bright future.
Thank you very much, Carin. It was super nice to meet you. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day here in Newport. Hopefully you get out later on to see some of the sites.
Absolutely.
Perfect. You got to take it in. I love Newport. All right. Thank you so much, Carin.
Thank you.
Take care. And thank you for listening to Mission Possible. Be sure to tune in next time to hear more stories on how our members are making a difference. We'll see you then.